That's essentially their markup. Why are you giving me a maintenance fee? The MSRP right here, that's the #1 tip so far reading this text. They're going to make it seem like it's an impossibility to bring down price, okay? But you have to stick to your guns. How to negotiate cars in 2022 and 2023. In today's video, I'm going to share with you all an exact text thread of me negotiating for a vehicle recently. As you all know, the car dealership, the car market is absolutely crazy right now. A lot of dealerships are marking up prices and marking up cars significantly. And I understand, yes, there are supply chain issues, but there's no need to mark up certain cars by this amount or by that amount. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about, what's the proper way to talk to a dealership, especially in this new age with technology and just everything changing in the car market with supply chain issues, and how to get a decent car at a decent price. So if you all don't mind, I'm trying to grow this channel. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So I would appreciate it if you all subscribe to this channel. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all on my phone and just share the text thread and show you all how I was able to basically not pay a markup for a particular vehicle. So just for some background and context around this. So this was a vehicle that I was interested in, and I didn't go forward with the deal, just a heads up. But this was a vehicle that was marked up, that they added extra fees on. And it was actually a 2022 Honda Civic hatchback. And these Civics and these Corollas and these Camrys, these Toyotas and Hondas, they're actually being marked up significantly because they are hot demand cars, but dealerships are still marking them up. And I was interested in a hatchback. And so all of this was, real interest of me trying to find more information and get a decent price for this vehicle. And I just want to show it for you all so you all can learn different methods on how to negotiate. So another thing about, I guess, this dealership is that I actually helped my sister get an Accord from this Honda dealership. It was a used Accord, but, we were able to get a decent deal for it, and, it's running fine and everything. So I saw that they had a brand new Honda Civic hatchback, so I was inquiring about it, trying to get the price lower. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is, yes, this was all done through text. I was listening to another YouTuber, and he actually works at a dealership, and he was saying that 60 or 70% of all his deals is either done through email or through text, right? It's not done in person. And I think that's going to be the new wave of negotiation or dealing with dealership. Is all going to happen electronically. And in some way that can help the person negotiate a price different, because like when you're in person, sometimes you can get intimidated by being at the dealership or by the salesperson. And so when you have your phone, when you have your email, you can think about the words, you can actually look at your budget and understand exactly what you're looking for. And so I think that's the new wave of, talking about price. Yes, go view, test drive a vehicle, but come back home, email them later, text them later and say, hey, this is what I want. These are the prices that I'm looking for, and negotiate through that method. And I found that was way much easier because, they don't have to go back in their word too. Everything is written down in email or through text. And so you can say, hey, no, you actually quoted me this price. Here's proof and everything like that. So I think doing it through text is very important. And so what I usually do, I go test drive a vehicle, and then I go back home, and then that's when the negotiation starts. Because I don't want to be there, test drive the vehicle and get the vehicle like that, because, it makes you seem very desperate, and you don't want to feel that way. You can be like, yeah, I'm just test driving it. Okay, I'll talk to you later if I'm interested and stuff like that. And I think that's a good method to adopt if you're interested in negotiating for cars around this time. So yeah, 2022, 2023, I think this is the new wave, doing things online. Let me just share my text thread with you all and we can start. And then I say, yeah, this is Matthew. Would you be able to sell lower than price listed? He said, let me check. I'll run a price breakdown. What kind of down payment are you thinking about? And I just said $3K. any idea of credit score, and send me a pic of your license for taxes. So I said mostly get financing from my personal bank, but around 740 plus. Gave my zip code and say, I'll see if I can send it soon, just trying to get a rough estimate. Last name. And then they sent me the breakdown. So a few things to point out. So number one, he asked me for my credit score. And then he asked me for a pic of my license for taxes. And so automatically he's trying to get financing through the dealership. And that's the number one tip so far reading this text thread, is to get your own personal financing if you're going to finance a car. Number one, I do not recommend financing a vehicle. It's a depreciating asset, and so I don't recommend it. And so through here, I was talking about financing, and I said if I would go through financing, I'll go through my own personal bank, right? I'm not going to go through you all. And so you see them already asking these questions. And then he asked me for a pic of my license. And I said, hey, I'm just trying to get a rough estimate. And then he asked me for my last name. And so this is the breakdown of the vehicle. And so you see the MSRP right here is 31,145. The discount is, I don't know why they have a discount, but it says negative, but it increases the price. That's essentially their markup, but they call it a discount. And so that puts the price up to $33,041. And then they have the perm plate and the wheel locks, $549,395. My goal was just to get this vehicle at MSRP because I understand Civics, Camrys, Corollas, Accords, they're hot in demand. And so finding it under MSRP is difficult. So I was just trying to get it under MSRP and a little bit lower, and we'll talk about that later. But you can see there's a markup and there's these other other fees that doesn't matter. And so I'm on like, what in the world? And then there's this maintenance fee right here. You see down here, it says maintenance $12.95, which is ridiculous. Like, why are you giving me a maintenance fee? So you see, so you have almost $2,000 for the markup. You have another $1,000 for fees, and you have this maintenance fee for $1,200. So already that's probably close to $4,000 extra of just fees that I don't need. Maintenance cover oil change, flats repairs, other things like that if you gas run out. But my insurance does all of that, and then it gives me a breakdown of the financing. And if I really broke this down, I understand. Like, I can guarantee you this is a pretty high APR. And so if I put $3,000 down for 60 months, that's $744. Like, what? I'm not going to pay $744 a month for a Civic. Then I was all like, thank you for sending me this. And then he said, you're welcome. And then I said, okay, this is what I need. The Sonic price should be MSRP minus the discount. It looks like you added. I would like to reject the permanent plate, wheel locks, and maintenance. What's the APR in this quote? And then this is what the dealer said. Right? They're going to make it seem like it's an impossibility to bring down price, okay? But you have to stick to your guns. It is a possibility. They've done it before, and they still do it, okay? There are no discounts with the current market right now. What? All dealers are moving up on price based on supply and demand. Ours on that car is $1,896, so that's their markup. Most dealerships are $3K, $5K over. Permanent plate has already been installed, as have the wheels and the locks, but I can bump the permanent plate and that maintenance to 5 years at the same price. So break it down in 5 years across the course of the loan. Permanent plate is the protective coat, blase, inside and out, and zero deductible. You can find the cars on net at MSRP pricing, but they will add market value. Honda does not allow dealerships to advertise anything over MSRP. Thanks. The APR is based upon your credit score. That's probably figured at around 7%. Now, I know interest rates are rising, but I have a great credit score and my finances are great. And I know for sure 7% is too high for my credit history. Like, I should get the minimum of credit, like around 4%, between 4 and 4.5%. I know that for sure. But you will get an interest rate that reflects your score, no different than walking in a bank. You have a good score at 740. And I just put 740, but I'm pretty sure it was higher. And then right here, I said, I looked at other vehicles and was able to get offers lower than MSRP, I am not going to pay that markup. So I made it firm. I was like, I'm not going to pay that markup. Once again, I reject the perma plate and maintenance. If you have to keep it on the invoice, lower the total price by that amount. I can get the lowest MPR with my credit score and income. I was like, 7%? Nah, I'll just go to my bank and get the 4.29%. All right. So once again, I stuck with my guns. I said, hey, I'm not going to pay the MSRP. And sometimes for some reason, I think they have to put perma plate maintenance and other fees. But I'm all like, okay, if you need to do that for invoicing or whatever your finance manager wants you to put, you could put that. But just subtract that amount from the total price, because I'm not going to pay that at all. So I didn't budge. I didn't say, hey, meet me in the middle. With the maintenance fee, with the perma plate, or with the markup. I said, no, I reject all of these things. And then here they are. And then he says, on the APR, we have to estimate until we pull your credit. I have one new Civic on the lot that's not sold. It's this one we are talking about. They won't drop the price. So he says they won't drop the price. Okay? Perma plate or wheel locks. I think I can get them to drop the maintenance. So already there's budging. At first, he was saying all these things can't be rejected, but now we have one thing being dropped. He says, I think I could get the maintenance dropped. Let me know what you think, what you want to do. Thanks. Cool. Well, I just explained how we can work together on this deal and sticking to those terms. Thanks. So I'm all like, hey, I don't care like if you say you can't take off the perma plate or you can't take off the markup. These are my terms. This is how we can work together by abiding by these terms. Next, it was like, if you have a number in mind, send it to me and I'll present as an offer. Nobody gets there feeling hurt. So he's asking me to give him a number. I'm all like, hey, you gave me a number. I gave you what I wanted, essentially. So this is what I said. Those terms that explained above is my number. So essentially, taking off these things will give you my number. All right? I don't have to give you a number. This is what I want. And you have to be firm. You have to understand that they lie, right? They're going to say, oh, there's no way we can change the APR percentage, right? There's no way we can lower. They can lower the APR, you all. Do not think, if they're quoting you a 10% APR, 8% APR, 7%, and they'd be like, no, I mean, that's based off your credit score. That's based off your credit history. No, go to your bank or just tell them, hey, I've done this before. I know the APR can be lower. I know you make income off of the APR, selling a higher APR. This is my APR. That's what I'm going to sign on, period. If you're going to go financing, I do not recommend financing once again. And then he said, if I can get you the car at MSRP, so now he's dropping the markup. So at first he said he couldn't drop the markup, he couldn't drop any of the fees, the maintenance fees, but now he's dropping the maintenance fee, he's dropping the markup, okay? He says leaving perma plate and maintenance on there, So he's leaving the maintenance on there. But at first he was saying, I think I can get them to drop the maintenance on there and I'll make it 6 years. Is that doable? All right. So once again, you see, like when dealerships go back and forth, because at first he was saying, oh, I think I could drop the maintenance, but no, okay, here, we'll keep the maintenance and the perma plate and everything, but we can drop the MSRP and we'll split it across 6 years for the perma plate and maintenance. And as we saw before, the maintenance was like $1,300, right? I'm not going to pay an extra $1,300. That's essentially your markup. Nah, I'm good. And the thing is, I helped my sister buy a car from this dealership, but they didn't have these fees. They didn't have the maintenance fee and stuff like that. So I said, I appreciate the counter, but I am firm. That wheel lock fee also, I will not pay, because I noticed he wasn't mentioning the wheel locks. He was mentioning the perma plate and other things. I said, we both know we can work together to get this deal done. And I just left it like that. I am firm. This is what I need. This is what I want. This is how we can work together. This is what he says. How far away from the dealership are you? Buying power is much greater when you're standing in front of a manager. You all understand this? Like they want the customer to come in because they have leverage. You're at their house. They have home field advantage, and there's other salesperson. It's just like their home. So they have that advantage. And so they want you to get you in person, want you to sign a deal. But even if you're in person, like, don't always stay behind the screen with things. Don't be a keyboard warrior. Like, if you're in person, you have to stand firm, even in person, right? And they're going to be like, oh, it's an impossibility. We can't do this. Or even some of them might even be more aggressive and like make you feel bad for doing something. Like, don't let them connive you and deceive you and make you feel bad or anything like that. Like, yes, there are dealerships that are honest and trustworthy. I'm not trying to paint a picture, but I understand, yeah, they're trying to get their money. They're trying to get their commission and everything like that. But you have to understand they're making money when you pay MSRP, when you pay lower than MSRP, when you get your interest rate. They're making a good amount of money anyways. And they're just making more in this market because people are paying over asking and stuff like that. But stick to your guns. So you see, he wants that home field advantage, right? So I'm all like, we know how to make this deal happen. There's no point of me going in if we do not have an agreement. So I'm here chilling at home. I'm all like, why should I go in when you're not even getting the deal done, when we don't even have an agreement on price? Why should I do this? Boom. And then he said, I'll let you know. I didn't respond. He says, good morning. Hope all is well. Just checking to see if your schedule will allow you to come in today. It's getting close to month end, right? Because that's another advantage, you all. Dealerships, they're trying to get their commissions in. And so at the end of the month, sales are happening. People are trying to sell as many cars as they can to meet their quota or to, just to be a good salesperson, right? And so it's good, like, if you're looking for a car, to go towards the end of the month, right? Because they're more willing to negotiate, and because they just want the sell more than like the price of the car, so to say. Just checking to see if your schedule allows, getting close to the month's end, and it's a good time to get a better deal on a car. Let me know what you think. Thanks. I said, good morning, Danny. Thanks for reaching out. My terms are $2K less than MSRP, no maintenance, no wheel locks, no permanent plate. Thanks. So I started adding, because at first I was just saying MSRP, and then I said lower than MSRP. And this is not to stronghold them, right? This is to say, hey, my patience is getting low. Like, now, like, if I want to make this deal happen, we even have to go 2K less. And so this is going to put in their mind, like, okay. At first they were asking for MSRP, but now they're asking for 2K less. And so this will create, like, more urgency in their mind, right? And eventually I just started thinking about the car, and I started losing interest. And I was like, hey, if I get this car, it has to go lower than MSRP. Like, it just has to be a screaming deal for me to get the vehicle. But anyways, this is what he says. Here's the deal on the car. Has to be today. He takes the wheel locks from the price, and this is what it looks. This is the second price quote. So you can see this quote unquote discount is actually a discount. They take the discount out, the $395 out, right? And then they have the wheels lock right there. So that wheel lock, it's offset. So you know what I mean? Because he says right here, he took the wheel locks from the price. And so sometimes, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of invoicing or whatever, they have to still put something there. But I was like, okay, that's fine. He took that off. He take out the maintenance fee. So there's no maintenance fee over here, and there's no markup. There's none of that like extra $1,800. So if we can compare it right now, they're selling this vehicle. They're giving me this vehicle at MSRP, right? Because it's $31,195 right here, and then they have the tax and the dealer doc and all the other fees, and then my cash down, and then my balance down here is $31,263. You can see it changed the the breakdown to $652, but I think this is still based upon like a 7% interest rate, and so that's why it's still a little higher. If I went with my bank 4.2, this would be much lower a monthly payment. If we can just compare the two, so if I go back up and look at the original price quote he sent me. So first of all, there's this addition of $1,896, essentially, and then he gave me $549 for a permanent lock and then $395, and then it gave me this $1,295. So this was almost $4,000 more, and they took all of that $4,000 left. So you see the balance below was $35,696 originally, and then after some talk, some negotiation, from $35,696, and went down to $31,263, right? So you can see that's over $4,000. So they took all those fees off and they're selling it to me essentially at MSRP. The only thing is I don't know the interest rate, the APR they're quoting me right here. And then he said, what do you think? And then I said, thank you for the offer and for the adjustment. However, I cannot afford it at MSRP. I know you all might be able to still sell it. Looking at my finance, I would have to be $4K less than that. Let me know if you change your mind. I said, I'm not, but thanks. And that's the end of the conversation. Because after a while, I just got tired of negotiating back and forth with him, and I just lost interest in the vehicle. And so I said, hey, it has to be $4K less than this balance. So it would have been from $31,000 down to $27,000. And if they offered me that in today's market, which was absolutely ridiculous in a city where it's growing, that would have been a great deal. And I think even now, like, that deal was pretty good. And I looked online, they sold the car like a day or two later. So it's crazy that the dealership even offered this type of discount to me. It's not even a discount. They're just selling me the vehicle at MSRP. But they're able to offer me, even though they have high demand, because the vehicle just sold that same week. It sold like a few days later. But yeah, let me know what you all think. So I guess some major tips to consider. Number one is when you're negotiating, try to negotiate where there's a paper trail, like email or text or something like that. Like if you need to test drive it, just test drive it, but don't buy the car then and there. And then later negotiate. Okay, number two, if you're going to finance a car, finance it through your own bank or credit union. Do not go directly through the dealership. And then another thing with financing, even if you get a pre-approval letter from your bank, and let's say it's 4%, and you send it to the dealership, sometimes at the end when you meet with the finance manager, they're going to up the financing charge or the APR to like 5%. So you have to be clear. It's like, hey, I actually got pre-approved for 4%, and that's the interest rate that I'm going to sign on. That's the APR I'm going to sign on. And then they're going to make it seem like it's an impossibility to bring it down to 4%, which makes no sense, because it's like, my bank knows me. My bank knows my credit score, my income, the balance in my account. Like, and you're telling me, oh no, it's a point higher actually. No, like they try to do that sometimes. Make sure you look at that and you get your financing through your bank, and you only sign on the APR that you're actually pre-approved for. Okay, the next tip, number 3, is you have to stick to your terms. Be ready to walk out. All right, and understand, you all, that they're trying to make money too, right? But when you negotiate, I guess when you talk to them, you have to make it seem like it's a partnership. It's just not like you getting everything too. So the way I stated it, I was like, hey, we know how to make this deal happen. We know how to get this deal done, right? And so make sure you're reasonable. You understand the market. If you're in a big city and people are buying cars like crazy and the demand is crazy, understand that. But hey, if you don't want to pay markup, don't pay markups, you all. And I think paying markups just add to more of the inflation issues that we're having and other type of issues going on in the economy. So don't pay markups, you all. It just ruins it for everyone. All right, stick to MSRP or lower than MSRP. Get all of those fees out of the way. And yeah, that's just going along with the tip of sticking firm to your budget, to what you're wanting. Make sure you get all the fees out of the way and you stick to MSRP or lower, especially for high demand cars, and get financing on your own. And they're going to make it seem like it's an impossibility to take certain things out. Just stay firm and be like, hey, I understand this business. I bought cars before. I understand you all can lower certain things. You can take out certain things. And so take these fees out and we have a deal, and just keep on saying that. They're going to come back. They're going to have a new rebuttal after another rebuttal. And so make sure you stick true to your guns. And so, yeah, those are some negotiation tips in the car market. Let me know how you all negotiate your cars. Another thing is going on forums. Like, for example, I've been looking at Ram trucks, and there's some forums, and they send out when people provide information on dealerships that actually offer pricing lower than invoice, lower than MSRP. So there's MSRP and then there's invoice pricing, and you could get even lower than invoice pricing. And so make sure you do your research online if you're looking for a particular brand or particular car, because there are dealerships out there that maybe they just are looking for volume, and so they sell vehicles lower than MSRP. They sell them lower than invoice price. And so look online, do your research, and some of them, you know, you don't even really have to negotiate because there is so much lower than MSRP. But make sure you also look at the fees and make sure, you know, you get your right financing and everything like that. But once again, number one tip, I would say buy your vehicles in cash. Buy a used car if you need to. If you can't afford it, if you're not at the level where you can buy cars cash, don't buy a new car. All right? You know, stick to your guns, and yeah. Let me know down below what y'all think of this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll talk to y'all later.